This video is about what recently happened to a mother and sharing her video of her son being detained unlawfully. So a mother shares a video of an armed police surrounding Black son after they were assumed that he was an attacker when the team called 911. So actually they were the ones that were calling for help for an incident that had took place. And so if you hadn't seen, most people have seen this, Tammy Collins' son being arrested by police after he and his two friends were allegedly attacked by a homeless man. And so multiple California police officers were filmed pointing guns at 3 African American teenagers who were allegedly being threatened by a homeless man. The mother of one of the teenagers in the video, Tammy Collins, shared the 11-minute clip to her Instagram page, so you can see that it's on the news, showing the officers from the LA County Sheriff's Department aiming guns. If you see these guns, boy, I'm telling you, they aimed the guns at them. And Santa Clarita, California, on the 7th of August. So Miss Collins wrote in the caption of the video, I wanted to share what happened to my son yesterday at CV when he was with a couple of his friends sitting at a bus stop. He was heading home. So she added, he was attacked by a gentleman, a homeless guy, who had approached them, first asked them if they had any crack. Then he tried to take their things. And then Miss Collins said that the man then pulled a knife on them and became aggressive at them. So the teenagers attempted to defend themselves using their skateboards to block the knife, of course. I'm adding that in there, of course, so to make sure that they had kept a safe distance from this guy. So this is during a pandemic as well, so this is equally dangerous. So she added that multiple calls were made to the police by witnesses, but the one of the callers told the authorities the 2 black guys were attacking the homeless man, so it was told differently. And so it was misinterpreted, and then the messages turned to this 11-minute video started as the 2 officers were pointing handguns at Miss Collins' son. So, but the 2 minute one of their within a minute, one of their colleagues who was holding what appeared to be a semi-automatic rifle. Can you believe that? A semi-automatic rifle arrived and pointed at him while he was holding his hands up in the air. So why would you need a semi-automatic rifle for 2 teenagers? That's the thing. I just don't understand that. So think about it, guys. A semi-automatic rifle at 2 teenagers that don't even have any weapons. So bystanders could be seen shouting at the officers, and they attempted to get the police to drop the weapons. And so you can see in the video where they were trying to beg the officers to put the guns away by telling them that the teenagers had done nothing wrong and that they were the ones who were actually the ones who called the police. They were being attacked by the homeless guy. So while the bystander attempted to explain to the police that the teenagers had defended themselves, one of the officers shouted, "Get away from me and back up." And so 2 minutes into the video, the teenagers could be seen on their knees being handcuffed by the officers, handled like as if they were criminals, while the colleague pointed a handgun at the back of his head. Good grief. Just keep your hands up. It will be over soon. One bystander shouted a second teenager was arrested, while another said they don't care because they're black, repeatedly, as the authorities arrested these teenagers wrongfully. Of course, I'm going to add that in there because these were the people who were actually calling police for help. So this explains why the black community has a lot of distrust in law enforcement, and they rarely want to call the police because they're viewed automatically as the criminal. So the Los Angeles Sheriff County Department The Sheriff's Department confirmed to TMZ that they responded to the incident after they received a call of someone who told them that the two adult men that were attacking another man with a skateboard. So they flipped the story around, made it seem like the teenagers or two adult men were attacking another man with a skateboard. Okay, so after the police spoke to the witness, the teenagers were released without any charge, but the authorities said that the department doesn't know what happened to the homeless man, according to TMZ. So Collins added that this is something that my son and his friends will never forget. So I'm wondering, how will I ever help my son recover from the traumatic experience? So please pray for my family. That is really sad. So there is video of this, and this is a still picture of what scene took place. These were teenagers that were being attacked. They used their skateboard to defend themselves against a homeless man who basically was extremely aggressive and pointed a knife at them. And they called law enforcement, but the story was flipped. They were treated as if they were the criminals. And so we have seen these things time and time again. This is in the news, so you can see the video at your leisure. Additionally, there was another incident that took place as well, where this happened. A man charged after illegally detaining a black teenager on his way to a basketball practice. So I have somebody breaking into cars, and we had it on video. Luis Santos allegedly told police, this is by James Crow, Wednesday, 29th of July, 2020. So a man in Florida has been arrested after he allegedly detained a black teenager who was on his way to a basketball practice game. Luis Santos was arrested on Saturday over the incident that occurred on the 9th of June. And so, according to the Raw story, the video of a 54-year-old filmed on his phone, Mr. Santos pulled up on the road next to a teenager and asked him where he lived. These are dangerous situations here. So, an unidentified teenager who was on his bike told Mr. Santos his address, but the 54-year-old then got out of his car and said, "You're being detained and you're not going anywhere." And so this is not a video related, it's just something additional. And so it goes on in the article to say that the teenager reportedly then put his hands in the air after Mr. Santos just did that. He had a gun before he illegally, listen to that, detained him, according to Newsweek. So Mr. Santos later called the police and said, "I have somebody breaking into cars and we have it on video." He also claimed to be an off-duty officer. Doesn't that sound familiar? It sounds like Trayvon Martin revisited. In a statement, Hillsborough State Attorney Andrew Warren wrote Santos made misleading statements to law enforcement about what he had witnessed. The young man felt threatened and was not free to leave, while Santos acted as though he had been in legal authority of the law enforcement officer, including compelling the victim to put his hands in the air until the sheriff deputies arrived. Mr. Warren added that the WFLA, that the state's attorney wanted to show the area that they don't want people taking the law into their own hands. We charge the case here. There is evidence that he committed a crime because it serves the purpose of showing that we're not going to tolerate vigilantes who are accosting people, especially when they're doing it just based on how the person looks, he added. So Mr. Santos has been charged with false imprisonment and a third-degree felony, while the teen he detained has not been charged in relation to any crime. And so that's pretty much that article right there. And so you wish they had did that in the case of Trayvon Martin, but they did.
Here?
They did.
You live here? You live here?
Okay, so you're listening
Where?
to it. There's video.
Where you live? What's the address? Huh? You're not going anywhere.
So this reminds you
You've
of the
been detained.
Trayvon Martin scene.
You're not going anywhere.
But it's just now you have
I'm
other
sorry.
people trying to copycat this. So anyway, I'm gonna let this video go. But what do you think about this vigilantism? Um, People doing this where they're detaining teenagers and putting their lives at risk. But anyway, having said this, I'm gonna let this video go. It's just really scary that you can't even have your kids out. You know, it's not safe because you don't know if the messages are going to be flipped, if your kids are going to be at risk for death. They're putting handguns and semi-automatics to the kids' heads, flipping stories around, making it look like if they're the victim, that they're the actual uh, um, aggressor. So, having said that, I'm going to let this video go. This is a very scary time that we're living in when children's lives are at risk just for being a black teenager. You gotta really wonder how safe it is. You gotta talk to your children, let them know, not to make any sudden moves. But even with that, it's so much going on in this world today. So having said that, I'm gonna let this video go. Like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for listening. But take a look at this. I'm gonna leave it on this still photo. This is how they're treating our black children here in America. This has gotta stop.